him. I've given beatings all the time. And I'll tell you what, if he goes very, very far, believe me, I will drop a bomb on him.
Welcome back to Wrestling Real Talk. I'm your host, Rudy Hill. This is the great Chris Carter. We are bringing you a very special episode of Wrestling Real Talk. We are bringing you an in-depth look at not only someone who is a colleague of both of ours, but also a very dear friend, someone you need to know, Mr. Mohammed Jihad Saad.
To Muhammad Jihad Saad.
When the name Mohammed Jihad Saad is presented to you or you hear that name, what goes on in your mind?
First off, I have to get my emotions under control. First thing that comes to my mind, friend, close, love.
Mohammed Saad was your tag team partner for years and years and years. Someone that you started training with under the tutelage of the fabulous Kangaroos, Al Costello.
You know the definition of a windjammer.
Tell me, what was it like meeting Mohammed Jihad Saad, which we know as Joe? What was it like? What was the initial meeting of Joe and Chris Carter the first time you met? I'm dying to know.
I met him in 1977, and we met through Al Costello. Okay, and Al Costello was training us to wrestle in a judo club, which was very hard because there was no ring there or anything. The first thought about when I met him is, who's this jackass? But it didn't take long for us to become friends.
Yeah.
Joe was so special in my heart, and his family was so great. And I'm going to say something here, and I want you to let me finish. When I first met Joe, honestly, I was afraid of him. Joe was Arabic. I didn't know anything about Arabic people. So I was afraid of them. I didn't know what their culture was. I didn't know anything about their family life. I was worried. What kind of spot am I in? Okay? But it didn't take long for me to realize what a great guy he was and what a great family he had and what a wonderful person. He single-handedly changed my whole world about all people in general. The first time I went to Joe's house to watch wrestling on cable TV, because I didn't have cable at the time, I was treated like a king.
From his family?
From his family. His sisters made tacos. They had a big tray of nuts and snacks, and they were served to us. It was like they treated me like a king. I was like, I couldn't believe it. His mom and dad were so great and just so welcoming. Everything changed about everything. That was a changing point in my life. And I love them guys.
Yeah.
And Joe's dad passed away 20 some years ago. He was a great man. His mother is still here with us, and she was a wonderful woman and still is a wonderful woman, a great mother, a great leader of their family.
Your perception, and of course you can't speak for everyone, but what do you think his family felt about him being a wrestler, a professional wrestler? I mean, I'm sure you've heard the comments or you've even had conversations with the Saad family about where Jihad was in the wrestling business. What did they feel of that?
Honestly, they loved it. They loved it. They thought it was great that he wanted to do that. And they thought it was great that he was able to achieve a dream you know, and he worked hard. Joe was a beast, man. We used to go to the gym and work out, and this guy was unbelievable, man. I mean, he would bench press 500 pounds. I'm lucky I got 200 pounds going, and he's got 500 pounds. I'm like, oh my God, don't ever hit me or push me.
Tell you what, Chris Carter, I want you to look at this right there.
Very
This
impressive,
does not
very
come from
impressive.
weightlifting. This comes from picking up bazookas and machine guns.
They would do anything for him to make it easier for him. They would have his bag packed. They would help make him outfits. They would you know, do everything they possibly could for him to achieve what he wanted to do. Now sometimes when he was in his heel mode, they were a little bit disappointed about that because they wanted everybody to love him. But he made his most money that way. And after a little while, they accepted and understood how the business was.
He started out as a babyface with Al Costello, and he worked with George Cannon over at Superstars of Wrestling, along with yourself and Dr. Jerry Graham, and you had a nice array of local talent that were being on this platform. I'm sure you had thousands of matches with Muhammad Saad.
The match that always stands out in my mind with Joe was the first time, I think it was 85 or something, that Hulk Hogan came to Detroit. First night, Joe and I were the opening match on that card.
Wow.
12,000 people in the Joe Louis Arena, which was a huge crowd at that time because wrestling was down.
Right.
You know, but when they came in, man, it was unbelievable. We got out there and we were just like, wow, this is great. And I'm going to tell you something. We beat the living crap out of each other for about 20 minutes. We got out of the ring and we went back, and Gorilla Monsoon came up to us and goes, who the hell are you guys? And how in the hell did you do that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, what a compliment.
I got along with him. He's a great guy. He's made me laugh. We always just joking all the time, but he's totally opposite of what you saw in the ring. He had everything going for him. He had all the talent. He could talk. People believed in him. You know, made the people hate him, which is.
He spoke Arabic, and that was great because you know he would go off on a tangent and stuff, and it was just absolutely unbelievable.
But it's you know, some guys go too soon, you know, and he was one of them. I mean, he was, like I said, a great guy, and I have nothing but good things to say about him.
Muhammad Jihad Saad to meet Rick
I have one thing to
Simpson.
say to you. You do not ever talk about Samira.
WWF, he did a bunch of TV tapings that I wasn't aware of. Do you remember who put him as a babyface and tried to really push him as?
Al Costello.
Really?
Yeah.
Al
And
Costello
that was hard.
believed in jihad?
Yeah, and it was hard. And I'm going to tell you this, that Jihad was always more comfortable being a heel.
Oh, yeah.
Always more comfortable. He was in his element. And he used to tell Al, he said, this is hard. They don't believe it.
Right.
He goes, they just don't believe it that I'm doing this. And Al would be, no, that's okay. You're going to do this. You're going to be big. You're going to be a star. And God bless Al Costello and everything. But George Cannon knew what to do with Jihad.
Yeah.
That changed everything.
He wasn't the biggest man in stature. He was a relatively shorter man, but built like a brick house. This is no secret when I say this, that you, I know for a fact, were offered to work with WWF full-time, and you decided as a family man to not take that opportunity.
And that's why I'm here.
Was Jihad ever presented that? And if not, do you think it was because of his stature? Back then, I know it was a big man's sport.
Well, that's absolutely correct, because of his size, none of the bigger promotions offered him anything. You know, he was more of what we would have called a regional wrestler at that time. He did good regionally, but yes, he was, you know, I guess you could say kind of prejudiced against because he was shorter.
Right.
Even though he was built like a truck and could bench press 500 pounds, it was hard for him to be in a ring with a guy that was 6'5".
You guys were partners forever. Even when you guys were facing each other, you were life partners.
Yes, absolutely.
You traveled down that road
Absolutely.
together.
Yeah.
You went highs and lows. Jihad at one point was the #1 heel in wrestling because of those days in Toledo. But then there was an accident that happened. He was so hot, red hot as a heel, and then all of a sudden
He got shot.
oh, he got shot. Oh my gosh.
Jihad owned a gas station, and he worked that. There was a issue with a customer. Customer came back and shot him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so because of that, he was off for a while and had to get back together and rehab and everything, you know. But talking about Toledo, this guy is nuts, okay? He comes up to me and he goes, I have an idea what we need to do. And he was so funny because I would talk to him and say, okay, what do you want us to do? He goes, you know what's really weird? He goes, you sound more like an Arabic person and I sound more like an American person talking. I said, yes, that is very strange. And it was just cool. But he goes, I want to do with you, Chris Carter, or you to become my Arabic partner, and we will become the International Freedom Fighters. So it was crazy, man, because I came out with the keffiyeh and waving the Lebanese flag. He comes out with the American flag. Oh my God, man, did we get heat.
I was going to say.
And I'm not talking about, you know, looking at the crowd and going, hey, you go to, not that kind of heat.
Right.
Man, we walked out of the dressing room and stuff was flying.
Wow.
You know, I mean, I'll tell you how great the heat was. We got in the ring, we didn't have to do nothing.
Wow.
We would stand there for probably 5 to 8 minutes just disrobing and getting ready, and the crowd was berserk. And then the minute we got into the match and took a bump, there was another 5 minutes. I'm going, oh, you know, and it was just absolutely unbelievable. He was a genius.
Seen that genius firsthand, and it was at the Fortson High School. It was the International Freedom Fighters, Muhammad Jihad Saad and Chris Carter against the Fabulous Kangaroos, which was Denny Cass and at the time Al Snow.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the baby faces, and the Freedom Fighters were the heels. But not that night.
Oh, buddy.
But not that night.
Come on. That was his alma mater.
And I seen the genius of him turning babyface in front of a crowd that he was supposed to piss off.
Yeah.
And they loved him.
He looks at me and he goes, you got this? I says, yeah. He goes, you know what I mean? I says, yeah.
I love it. I love it. One of your matches that you guys had, well, you guys had several matches, but a lot of them turned into bloodbaths when you guys would go heads up against one another.
We drove each other, man. Come on. It was like, you know, he'd do something and hit me. I'd be like, that all you got, you little wimp? You know? And then he hit me after that. And I said, okay, that's fine. No, but I mean, yeah, we drove each other. I says, listen, man, I'm going to go out there and beat the shit out of you tonight, okay? And I expect the shit to get beat out of me. And don't give me no crap about it. So, yeah, we had a lot of hot matches, man.
Bruiser Bedlam television was, that was a brainchild of Past TV, was it? Pro-Am Sports television?
Jim Fetzer, the owner of the Detroit Tigers at that time, came out with Past TV.
Mm-hmm.
It was the very first, I think, subscription TV. It came over the air. You had to have a special antenna on your house to get it. You get movies and sporting events and stuff.
Wasn't it like on Channel 20 after 7 or something? They would switch over to.
No,
that was on TV
no,
or something like that.
Yeah, it was on TV, and you had to have the subscription
or it
for it.
or something
but
like that.
Jim Fetzer had an attorney, Bill Kazurski, and Jim Fetzer decided he wanted to do something with wrestling. So Bill Kazurski somehow met Jerry Graham.
Okay.
The rest is history.
Well,
Jerry Graham and I went down to the office, had a meeting with them. Next thing you know, Past TV send their crew out to the Premier Center in Sterling Heights. We're making TV.
and that's where it all started, right there.
Bruiser Bedlam.
Bruiser Bedlam you've ever seen.
One of your top heels right then and there was Muhammad Jihad Saad.
Right off the bat, baby. Well, I'll tell you what, Jihad had some great matches with Calypso Jim, who is Boba Brazil Jr., but But Brazil would not let him call him that then because he said you weren't ready.
Okay, all right.
But he had great matches with him, and he had great matches with a lot of guys. Man, he as a single, he knew what to do in that ring to get heat, and he did the right stuff at the right time, and he worked what we used to call stiff.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody would cry when they came back after a match with him.
And being controversial as it was even back then, I can't imagine what it would be today when he brought his lovely Samira to the ring with him and he'd smack her around and oh my God. We were sitting at home watching like this
he's doing a Graham's Gallery that's on the internet now. I mean,
we're going to show clips of that Graham's Gallery.
And so he sits down and she's here and he's like, grumbles something in there. She got down on her knees.
Because the man is the boss and the wife listen. She knows when to listen, when she has to listen.
Who portrayed Samira?
There was a wrestler, Terry Tyler was his real name.
Man Mountain.
Man Mountain Tyler. That was his wife.
No way.
We dressed her up. We said, would you do this? She goes, oh, I'd love it.
That's great. That's great. So later on, after wrestling has fizzled off in both your worlds for the moment, you still continued this relationship with, dare I say, your best friend?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about those.
Well, I mean, prior to the end of that, when my kids were little, we used to have big birthday parties for my kids. We'd have 40 people over in our backyard for a birthday party for our kids. And Joe was at every one of those. My kids loved him, man. When they seen him, he was like Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
You know, he was young. My kids were little. They'd be flying around all over the place, man. They couldn't wait for him to come over. He was my family. He was in my family. He was there all the time. We were together a lot. Even as the wrestling slowed down, we were still in close contact all the time. We'd still go to Johnson's gym in Southwest Detroit and work out, and I'd see him all the time. We'd go out and eat. We'd go out and have a few beers. And we associated with each other. I'd be like, hey man, I haven't seen you in 4 days. I'm meeting you later at 5 o'clock. Okay, at Miller's Bar.
Right. The day that you found out your best friend is gone, can you walk us through that day, if it's not too hard for you?
Prior to that day, Joe started having some heart issues. So he was trying to lose weight. He was trying to do some other things to get healthier. He had that shop, the mechanic shop.
Yeah.
I always loved old cars.
Mm-hmm.
So and I still have it to this day, a 69 Camaro.
Mm-hmm.
And the day that he passed, I made an arrangement to go with him because on my Camaro, I had the alternator and the pulley for the other belt were off. He goes, I'm going to fix that for you. It's got to be lined up real good. I said, okay. So I got off work about 1 o'clock and I started heading over there. His brother Ollie called me and he said, Joe's gone. I said, Joe's gone? Where'd he go? He goes, he's gone. I said, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean, where did he go? He said, he's dead. I said, dead? I said, what happened? And he goes, he didn't come to work this morning. He didn't answer his phone. He goes, I went over to his house and he was on his kitchen floor, dead. So I said, okay. But I kept going to the gas station because that was our plan for him to fix my car. When I got to the gas station, it's closed, middle of the day. I said, Mother, he's dead. So I went to his house. His whole family was there. Cried for 3 hours. It was unbelievable. And I think that I was the first American person to get up and speak at a mosque of a funeral for an Arabic man. because his brother Neil asked me, would you say a few words? I said, are you kidding? He goes, no. And of course, Joe was so popular. There was 1,000 people in that place.
Yeah.
So I had to get up in front of them and speak, and they accepted me with open arms. And they hung on every word I said. It was a great honor to do that. That was over 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago in June, and I still miss him to this day.
Jihad left a son?
He has 3 sons.
3 sons.
Yeah.
3 sons. Yeah.
And
None of them are in wrestling. Or
no,
anything like that.
but one of them is an incredible guitar player and so talented. It's unbelievable. Neil sends me stuff all the time from where he's playing and shows and stuff. And Joe would have been so proud of him because, you know, Joe.
That's all Joe wanted to do
family.
was be a family man. Is what I remember. What I remember.
He was married once, and I guess his wife wasn't able to have children.
Yeah.
And they drifted apart and
Sure.
stuff, and then he remarried and had some children. So he was very happy, and it was just sad that he couldn't be there for them, you know, to see them grow up.
Let me ask you this, and we're coming to
sorry.
No. We're coming to the end of the episode, and I would like to know, as his tag team partner and best friend, what would you like the fans, his fans of his wrestling career, what would you like for them to remember most of Jihad and his legacy?
What an incredibly genuine, good man that he was, and how much he loved everybody and his family, and the example he set for me and for everybody was exactly what a man should do.
This has been a very special episode of Wrestling Real Talk. Muhammad Jihad Saad. Any final words, Chris Carter, to your friend?
I love you, my brother, and I believe I will see you again.